Hello and welcome to another Escape from Tarkov video. Today we're going to be covering how I make my money as a scav. Now this topic was suggested by JC in the comments, so thank you again to JC for giving me a good topic of discussion. I basically make all my money on Shoreline, exclusively running this type of route here. If I start on the left, I just take it, from that little big red dot on the left, and if I start from the right, I just do it in reverse. And I find this route minimizes my exposure to both, PMCs and scavs, which maximizes the amount of times I actually extract with sellable loot. Now this pathway isn't mega money, you're not going to come out with 1 to 2 million rubles, you're not going to find a LEDX, you're not going to make millions in one run, but for 20 minutes in between, perhaps, say you've died, you're playing as a group, you've died first because of whatever reason, and you've got 20 minutes to kill whilst the rest of your group get out. You can run this route in 20 minutes and come out with 300, 400,000 more rubles, and that's a kit, that can buy quite a bit of things. On this particular run I'm showcasing here, I come out with 385,000 rubles, and honestly it was really bad loot. Like half the stashes I'd went to were empty or had been hit before. I didn't find a secondary weapon, I didn't have any armor to sell, and it was surprising how much money I actually came out with in the end. Like I came out with enough money to buy myself a new Gen 4, or buy myself a class 4 body armor from Ragman with a helmet, contacts, and I could go and buy, a stock SR25 and put a scope on it. Very comfortably in that budget I could make enough money to do that, and that's me lethal from the raid. I also much prefer to do these raids on nighttime, because I think the amount of players you run into on nighttime is severely decreased. And when I'm doing a scav run, I'm not doing it for excitement, I'm not doing it because I'm enjoying the game, it's a grind. I'm just doing it to make some money, to get the rubles up so I can go and kit out my PMC and go fight other PMCs. When I'm doing a scav, unless I've got a gun that I know can kill, I tend to stay away from trying to get into combat. What I do is I just skirt around the map and make up as much money as possible, and honestly just selling trash. But it's a good way to keep yourself afloat in Tarkov, and this was after yesterday's nerf, so all of these prices you're seeing here have been reduced, so it's still good money. And I usually pop up to the middle of Shoreline next to the power station rather than going near resort or the beach, because the beach usually has someone camping up there trying to get shots on scavs all the way down to Lighthouse. It's a very well trafficked area, whereas resort as well is really bad, it's probably the worst place on the map. But this area, usually people hit it at the start and then leave, that's what I've found. And you can sometimes find 1 or 2 dead scavs, which is great to get a secondary weapon, maybe some body armor or a bigger backpack. Those 3 things always complement a scav nicely. Plus you've got the key spawn on the chair inside, which once or twice I have found it on a scav. Also on a side note, the new patch notes do mention a blanket 20% increase on soft skills, so that's going to be fantastic, especially for those who haven't yet got to level 3 metabolism, level 2 strength. So that's a benefit. It's definitely good to see some buffs, it's just been a weaker nerf so far. And the reason I pick Shoreline over other maps is because, honestly, I believe Interchange has a better loot for a scav, but you've got to go inside, and I believe the outside caches are usually hit on reserve more than on Shoreline. And like I said, when I'm playing a scav, it's all about low effort, low concentration money farming. And basically that's because, if I'm going to grind out a couple of million for a LEDX, I'll just do the scav runs. I'll do 4 or 5 of these scav runs, and I'll maybe put on a show or something, like it's that low maintenance. If I die, I die, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the problem a lot of Escape from Tarkov's having, is you have 2 solid player bases. You've got the shooter FPS players and you've got the RPG players. One of these people, one of these groups, the RPG players, are not afraid of a little grind, but they will do it in such a way that they minimize the losses. So they will run in low geared, they'll hatchet run if they need to. For example, you've got to go and get a LEDX from Shoreline. The FPS players will be like, well, I'll take in, good gear, I'm going to encounter loads of PMCs, so I'll go in gear to the teeth and I'll have a bunch of good fights, and maybe I'll get it today. The RPG player will be like, right, well, if I run it back to back to back to back as a naked man, I can hit that room like 100 times today, and that will be, even increase my chances of getting it. So I think that's a big issue with Escape from Tarkov and its development cycle, is you've got this dichotomy of two different player bases. One side loves FPSs more than RPGs, and the other side loves RPGs more than FPSs. So you end up with this, which group do you piss off with this change? So I do understand it's a difficult game to develop for. But that's where I come from. I love shooters, and I love FPSs. That's why Tarkov is like my bread and butter. So I don't mind, going into 5 or 6 Scav raids just to make money. Now I will loot a lot of boxes on the way, keys, things, jackets, toolkits, basically anything that's going to have money in it, I will loot it. But the more loot I get, the less risky I'm going to be. You know what I mean? Like, if I have a backpack full of juice, I'm not going to risk that backpack full of juice for one jacket. If I have a lion statue, it's just a case of the more money you have, the faster you should move to extract. But as you can see, I'm just picking up absolute trash. Screws, a drill, some gunpowder, a hot rod, croutons, even ammo. Like, it's insane the amount of money I got just for how bad a run this was. The GL stock on the shotgun alone went for about 20,000 rubles. I think there definitely is a hidden economy to Tarkov, and that is the things that PMCs overlook, because they're after the big ticket items, they're after bitcoins, they're after cases, they're after marked room, whilst a duffel bag can hold more money in 3 or 4 of them and are a lot less looted than any marked room in the game. So it's kind of like, do I hit the marked room and potentially get a case, or do I hit a duffel bag, which is going to be way more stable money because there's no one going to be looking at that duffel bag? And as you can see in the top of my stash there, that's how much money I made, 385,000 rubles. Not a massive amount, but it's enough to run a budget kit. 385,000 rubles is enough to buy yourself some fuel for the hideout. It's enough to get a few upgrades. It's enough to do a couple of tasks for Gunsmith. It's not a bad amount of money. It's not massive, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be one of these, oh, I'm amazing I came out with 3 thick case raids. But sometimes just good enough is fine. Like, the people that put out guides for money making methods where you have to have 6 billion in keys to actually make any decent money, that's not accessible for the majority of players. This is. All you have to do is go in as a Scav. No keys required, nothing else. And that's what I like about these money making methods. That's going to be it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you make a bit of money in Tarkov. They are trying to make that harder, but we can make it easier. As long as we share the information we hold and make sure that we're not sleeping on money that's potentially to be made. I picked up a water bottle there that I sold for 10,000 rubles. Not a lot of money, but when you add it all up, it counts. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.